Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining me this morning. Today we are joined by Jim Arney. Good morning, Jim.
Hi, Sandy.
How you doing?
Fantastic.
Now, as you all recall, Jim Arney is our eyes and ears during our legislative session. Sadly, this year the session ended early because of COVID-19. Jim, I know you want to talk about some important bills that passed, so I'm going to turn it right over to you. So go right ahead.
Alrighty. Thank you, Sandy. I just want to touch base on two bills that passed, and they will be included in my final report, but I think it's important that everyone be aware of them. The first one was House Bill 932, and the title of it is 21st Century Economy Fairness Act. And basically, what this bill does, it applies the state sales and use tax on digital purchases. So if you download a book or a song, once this bill becomes law, they would be responsible for charging a sales tax on that purchase. And the bill also specifies that all revenue from digital purchases, the comptroller must distribute those funds to the Maryland Blueprint for Maryland's Future, which is the Kerwin Commission saw a piece of it for the education bill. So that's one important piece.
So, so what they're hoping to do is grab some money here for people that are downloading games,
Yeah.
books, music, and everything. Just a side note, what did they think they were going to grab from here? What kind of income? What was the fiscal note on this? Was there a lot? I thought it was
Yeah.
like in the millions, wasn't it?
Yes. It's close to no, it's 3 billion.
Oh, billion. I knew it was a large amount because I remember sitting there doing that testimony, and it was a huge amount.
Yes. And it's going to be important to watch how this materializes because you were there to testify on another bill that day.
Right.
And this bill was number one to be heard and lasted like 3.5 hours.
Yes, it did.
And the opponents to it said, if this bill gets passed, there's going to be lots of lawsuits and so forth. I don't know what the circumstances are. I'm not an attorney, but it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. The second bill I wanted to touch base on was House Bill 1018. This is a law that's already on the books. And what this law does is it requires businesses that have 50 employees or more, if they downsize or relocate to a different area and so forth, they must give their employees a written notice at least 60 days before any action is taken. They must give that same letter if the employees are unionized. A copy of that letter has to go to the union reps, and also any elected officials. If you're whoever is an elected official in the jurisdiction where you're currently stationed and you're going to be leaving that area, a copy of that letter must go also to each of the elected officials. So this is the main change on this provision of the bill was they put in a definition for employee. That was the primary change to highlight, which is it just says basically if you get an hourly wage, a salary wage, or you're a manager or a supervisor, that was defining an employee. And I'm not sure what the ramifications are, how that changes that much, but at least it clarified who's an employee and who isn't.
But I think also the important thing here is 50 or more. I think that's an important factor. I don't want, because we have a lot of small to mid-sized businesses, and so I don't want them to miss that very important point. Is
Right.
50 or more. But they do have clients who have that fit into that definition, so that needs to be aware of that.
Correct.
So, Jim, so we also had some emergency legislation from the governor on a bill that was actually passed in 2019. So, do you want to talk about that one a little bit?
Sure. In 2019, this legislation was dealing with notary publics, and they were going to have implementation date later, but they stepped it up because of this COVID-19 situation. And if you're a notary, you can perform remote notarization. You must be a current notary in good standing, and you must notify the Office of the Secretary of State of your intent to use remote notarizations. You also must identify the communications technology vendor you will use and confirm that the vendor allows you to, in real time, view the remotely located individual, compare for consistency the information and photos presented as identification, and you must create and retain an audio-visual recording of the performance of the notarized act. And it also specifies that you may not charge more than $4 for each remote online notarial act using communications technology. But this was implemented a little bit faster pace due to the situation that we're in today.
Right. And, I thought that was important that we let our members know about this because as people begin doing their SBA loans for their clients and stuff, there is some time that you need to notarize some documents. And, and a lot of our members are not only professional accountants and tax preparers, but they are notaries. And so knowing that they can do this in a virtual realm or in that way is important because that alleviates that issue for them. But like you said, there are specific guidelines that you outlined just a minute ago that what they have to do. And I think the most important thing there is they must notify the Office of the Secretary of State of their intent to do remote notarizations. So they just can't start doing it because of this executive act. They need to make notification to the secretary. And I think that's very important because I think that part is
Absolutely.
a little bit. And I think they need to we really want to bring that home. And because actually this really wasn't going to be effective until October 1st of 2020. But the governor like you said, with going on with the COVID, moved it up pretty quickly so that people can get this done. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. So
Sure.
the next thing is what's going on with the Revenue Administration. I mean, this is in your ballpark. So please enlighten us about that.
Well, the Comptroller Francho did a press release. I think it was late last week. It could have been earlier this week. That effective April 15th, they are going to discontinue or temporarily discontinue processing paper refund returns. And I don't think this is totally related to COVID-19 because this is the same procedure that we did when I was director. Because the name of the game, and trust me, they need all the revenue they can get right now with everything shut down. And I hate the thought of seeing what the revenue numbers are going to look like for the last several months. But on April the 15th, we always put refund returns to the side because our objective at that time was to get all of the what we called payment returns, whether it's estimated payments, final payments, partial payments, whatever, processed, return processed, and check deposited by April 30th. So this is not really something new. I think he's using this opportunity to kind of let the taxpayers know because every year we would get inundated. I filed my return April the 14th and I haven't received my refund yet. Well, we would set those aside. We would record them by date that they were delivered to us from the post office, but we wouldn't start processing until May 1st again, refund returns. And they would be calling saying, "Hey, it's been over a month now. Where's my refund?" Well, I would tell them, we set those aside. Our objective is to get the money in the bank so we can pay the bills for the state.
Well, I have two follow-up questions. The first thing, so did this announcement give a date? Like you just used the term, you just used the date May 1st and what you used to do. Did did this announcement have a date that they were going to start doing it again, or that was still
No,
board?
no.
Okay, I didn't think it did. And then the second thing is, due to the fact that they're extending the filing date for returns, I mean, do they really think they're going to get people to file returns and owe money when they've extended it to July 15th? I mean,
You never know, and that may very well be the reason why they are using the COVID-19.
gotcha.
But I think with the influx of mail that we would always get now, it's changed a lot in the 7 years I've been retired, because
Right,
we were over 1 million returns electronically when I was there. And now I think they're close to 3 million, or probably over 3 million. So because of the requirements that the IRS put on, that
right.
taxpayers had to go that route. But I think some of this may be also, will, some of this is related to the COVID-19, because I think they don't want the employees handling this mail, as soon as it gets in. They want to let it sit so that supposedly any viruses that have been transferred
Wow,
to
that's a good
envelopes and
point.
so
I never
forth
thought about that.
uh, will die within 48 hours. So I think that's part of it. Uh, and I think it's a good move, and the fact
Yeah,
that he's letting the taxpayers know about it
right. I
and the prepare.
very good point. I didn't even think about that, about, the getting the mail in there, and you don't know, like you said, 48 hours, they could be on the mail itself. So we have to protect everybody that we can in that process.
Absolutely.
So that's a very good point. Well, I'm going to do a couple more items and then please chime in.
Okay.
So the first one is Maryland loans. Effective Monday, April 6th at 5 o'clock, the Maryland Small Business COVID-19 Emergency Relief Loan and Grant Funds were no longer accepted. They are not accepting any further application. And any person who did apply, they will have 24 hours to finish the process. So the Maryland Department of Commerce has reached capacity at nearly 40,000 applications. That is astounding.
Wow.
I know. And they're working very hard to get these things processed as quickly as possible. But like I said, as of April 6th at 5 o'clock, which was Monday, they're no longer accepting any application. The other thing that we're getting a lot of calls here at the office is the essential employee designation letter. Now, due to Governor Hogan's request to have the stay-at-home directive and that only essential businesses be open, there's a concern that we're getting calls because tax and accounting businesses are the essential, or has been qualified as essential businesses. So, we're hearing, I think it's with this week, with the increase, and Governor Hogan keeps saying that this is really right, we're in the epidemic right now, that we're seeing really some crackdowns. So they are requesting some guidance on what the type of documentation their employees should have with them if they get pulled over. And they're not pulling over for no reason. There's just, but just to have that documentation. So we did receive some guidance on this, and so that what they strongly recommend for employees to draft and print their own letterhead the following: the name and address of the business, the nature of the employee's work, the reason why the employee's work fits the definition of being essential, and also the signature of the owner plus their contact information. They recommend that the employees carry with them at all times, going to and from work. And as a courtesy to members, we've actually have a link for a template that they can use. Now, this is no way official, but it's a template that they can use some guidance on. So I think that's some really important information as we begin this process, and so that everybody is all on the same page. And so, don't you agree, Jim?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So the next thing is, last night I actually was on a phone call about 8:30 last night from one of my members, saying that they were concerned, with all the different dates coming out, and some states doing one day, and Maryland, other dates for other states, that they would really need to get some information about that. So actually, I'm giving you two links. One is, which is two really good resources that you can use if you're wondering, when is my 1040 due? When is my unemployment due? When is my payroll reports due? So it's two links. One is the Federation of Tax Administrators, and the other one is from AICPA. And both of these are very comprehensive lists, and they are trying their best to keep them updated. And it's just not dealing with taxes only. It's dealing with all types of tax form and the documentation and the date that you have to report. So I think that's really, really important. So take a look at those. And if you need them, just call the office. If you missed them, we can send them to you by email and give you that information.
Sandy,
Yeah,
question.
sure.
I assume this information on both of those websites, AICPA and FTA, Federation of Tax Administrators, I assume this information is just on the front of their main page, because a lot of times you have to be a member of those two organizations to get inside and see the detailed stuff.
That is correct. It is open source, so you don't have to be a member, and which
Good.
is really nice of them to do. They're really, and like I said, it's a very comprehensive list. And thank you, Jim, for bringing that point up. Yes, you do not have to be members of either of those to get that list.
Good.
Now I'm going to change gears a little bit. Now we're all working from home, and we're hearing from our clients. You know what? I'm having trouble paying my bills. You know, what am I going to do? I'm not working. How am I going to get these things done? You know, what can you suggest that I can do? Well, back in January, and just to give you a side story, back in January, MSATP partnered with Vive, and this is a company that takes a look at your bills for you and allows you, and they will take and do all the work for you. They will go out to the providers, whether it be utilities, phone, internet, security, trash collection, whatever the case may be. They will negotiate and make sure that what you're paying is the best price out there. And actually, I tested the waters a little bit, and I sent them my Comcast bill, and they reviewed it for me and found that they ended up saving me $39 a month. Now, you know, for over a 2-year period, so that's close to $1,000. You don't think $39 a month is a lot, but when you look over for 2 years and it's almost $1,000, then it becomes substantial. And I think the most important thing is not only did they save me on the monetary side, but also in services, because they also were able to increase my speed at the house, which was perfect, especially now that we're working from home. My son and I both are working from home. We need that larger broadband, which is great. And that came at no cost. In addition, I got Netflix. And not that I got time to watch TV, but I got it for free for 2 years. And that was like almost another $215. And so not only did they lower my cost in monthly costs, but they increased my services. So it's a great program. And then absolutely all I had to do was submit my bill, and I did nothing else, and everything else they handled.
Super.
Yeah, I thought that was great. And so, like I said, so and this is not just for our members. And so people who, if you have clients that are looking to save some money and everything, this is open to your clients as well. So please take a look at that while you're working from home. This might be a full opportunity for you. Now, the other thing is, and actually, we were talking about this a few minutes ago, is that I talked to Verizon yesterday, and they are seeing a huge increase of internet usage. They're up 70%, 70% since this COVID. And so the reason why I'm bringing this up is because a lot of our members could be using their hotspots or their jetpacks for the internet. And so what they're seeing is huge increase in money cost. And members are getting hit hard, saying, "Oh my God, I thought I had unlimited." So again, today, take a moment, look at your Verizon, look at your usage, and make sure that you're not incurring huge increase in cost because of this, because you are using, especially if you're using the hotspot and the jetpack, because like I said, we saw it yesterday. I had a member that his bill went over $200, and he's only like 3 days into the month of his billing period. So
Wow,
if I didn't catch that, what it would be, or he didn't catch it, I should say he caught it. So I think that's a very, very important point as well.
absolutely.
So, and even not if you're using, and even if you're using your cell phone too. So make sure, because you could use your cell phone as a hotspot as well. So keep an eye on those. Now, I think that brings us to the end. I do want to thank you for joining me this morning. I think we really covered a lot of important issues here this morning. And again, we're here to give as much information we can to our members on a timely basis. We are constantly offering right now free webinars on this multitude of issues that are out there because of COVID-19. And actually, you will be getting an email probably by 9:30 today in your e-weekly about a free webinar that Verizon's doing on security issues that you should be aware of while you're working from home, using, whatever you're using, whether you're using the jetpack, whatever. So that is going to be coming in your mailbox, email box later on today. And it's actually, sadly, it's at 11 o'clock today. So you're going to have to make some quick reaction on that. Really, quick things there. So I want to thank Jim again for joining me this morning, and I want to wish everyone a happy Passover and a blessed Easter, and everyone be safe, take care, and until next time, we'll see you then. Bye, Jim.
See you, Sandy.